Hello, welcome back to another stream. It's another hot day here in England, and we're dying as usual. Today we're going to be catching up on our Greek, and I'm actually quite a bit behind on the Greek. What I'd meant to do before the stream, for like 2 weeks before the stream, was to catch up on the transcribing of the book that we've been making our way through, so that we can start translating it easily. But I haven't done that, so that's what we're going to be doing on this stream, which means we're going to be on the PDF screen today. Where's the PDF gone? There it is. We're going to be on the PDF viewer today, and we're going to be copying this into our notebook. And the first thing we've got to do is we've got to figure out exactly where we are. So there won't actually be very much translating today. It's just going to be sort of writing. But through writing these words, we will sort of look at the words and think about what they mean. So it's going to be a bit more of a laid-back stream today. I'm not going to bother using the hand cam for it, because it'll be a lot easier for me to write without the hand cam. But it'll be a lot of sort of looking downwards at the page. But fortunately, my model is actually pretty well designed for that, so that's not at all a problem. Okie dokie. Let's see. So we're in this sort of middle of the way through chapter 4. We've got this Hey Despoina kai he dula. Yes, dula. And we got up to kai panta ta'ala. So let's see if we can find where that is. I wonder if it's the end of a end of a paragraph. Here we go. Kai panta ta'ala. So that's where we got to. Let me just read a bit of 4. So sorry, I'm not used to. I've spent so much time looking at my own handwriting that I've sort of forgotten how the words look in this version of it. So I'm a little not used to it. I aganakte egomen holenten tain hemeran ono feroga to despota ton siton kai ton oinon kai ton huda kai pantata. Yes, okay, this is indeed exactly where we are. So, let's get writing. And my mouse will tell us where we are. In fact, I should probably move the whole PDF a little bit to the side, so that both sides are always visible. That's better. So that both sides are visible. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I will also, just so this is not unbearably dull, I will go and get a song. Where is it? I'm going to do somewhere. Is it in my anime one? I'm looking for a song. Where did I save it? Hold on, let me. There it is, that's what I was looking for. Oh. We'll just have that going. While we go at it. Okay. Let's see. Okay. And in fact, I should probably actually zoom in quite a bit, so I can always sort of see what I'm looking at. How far down can I go? I can go down to here. That's the end of the page. Okay, nice, easy. Alrighty then. Let's get to work. See if we can get sort of about an hour in here. Let's see. Ho de Desportes. Desportes. My handwriting. I Kalepos The master is always difficult. Kalepos. Kalapos esti. Prose. Prose MA? What is MA? MA. Does it say it below? Doesn't? Does it have a side thing? No, it doesn't. We'll have to figure out that when we get to writing. MA. I've got a feeling it means it's a form of ego. It's always difficult to me. MA. Uto. Uto Kalapos. Uto Kalapos. Estin. Elistim or Anna. Oste. Nope, that's it's an omega, not an omicron. Oste. Oste. Pantes. Pantes oiduloi. Bobon. Kaide to you too, Raymond. It's going. What we're doing here is so I've got this book here. This is our fantasy. It's one of those sort of learning books for Greek, and because I don't have a Greek keyboard, I want to sort of write this in my own words, in my own language. So I'm writing out the book into a notebook that I've got in front of me. And then after I've written that out, above each word I can write what it means in English. And while this is not strictly saying it's not really a good habit, it makes it much easier to catch up when you forget what words mean. So it's I'll probably do this for the first 7 or 8 chapters, and then by that point it'll probably be easier to just sort of read without having to translate each word. But this is a strategy we're going for in the beginning. And but since I've run out of words to translate, so I've got to write more in my book. I've just sort of forgotten where I was. Phobon. Nuloi Phobon. And some of these words I know, and some of these words I don't. And it takes a particularly long time, because I have to make sure that I do actually write them wrong. Isn't there? There isn't really a speed that. Yeah, that's a very that's absolutely right. There's a lot of people want speed runs. You know, they want all these sort of this way you learn it this way. This is the natural way of learning. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. The fact of the matter is that learning languages is hard. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. And the only way you can speed up learning languages is to put in more effort, more time. That's the only way. It's just the way it is. It's a hard thing. I think where these conceptions come from, I think, is because you learned your native language effortlessly. It was never difficult for you. You just learned it naturally. That only works for your native language. It does not work for any second languages, especially if you're trying to learn a language as as an adult, or even as a teenager. Like past early childhood, it's not happening. There's a whole bunch of brain neurology sort of stuff where you can really only learn your native language in the way you learned it as a child in that way once. You cannot repeat that. It can't be done. The only way you can learn language is as an adult. It's just hard work. It's just hard work. Forbon Ekusin. And but with this here, me sort of writing this out, I go pretty slowly because I have to make sure I don't get a typo, because if I get a typo, it's a disaster. I'll spend hours looking at this word that I've written in my notebook, and I can't find it in the dictionary, and it doesn't make sense, and it's because I've written the wrong word. So and then it's only once I go back to this book and I find it that I realise I've wrote the wrong word. So I'm a bit slow here writing these out, making sure I actually write them correctly. Even people who are raised in bilingual households. Yeah, I think they'll learn. Well, it depends. It depends a lot. I've heard a lot of people who grew up in bilingual households. They only learn one language, right? They'll either learn their native language or they'll learn the language of the country they're in, and they won't learn the other. There's often like a laziness on one side. Either the parents they don't integrate into the country, and so the kid can't speak whatever language of the country he's in, or it's the total other way around. And the parents don't bother teaching the kid anything, so they grow up in the country they're in and they learn that language, and they can't speak to their parents. Also, it depends why and what for you learn a language to begin with. That's true. That's also true. There's there's a lot of like, if you want to be a tourist, for example, what you should do is you should learn to rehearse sort of set things. You should learn, things like, so you can read signs, so you can ask for directions, so you can, basic sort of things like that. And that's all. A lot of that's kind of obsolete these days with how good translation software is. You can kind of put your camera up to a street sign and it'll just translate it for you. But yeah, if you want to be a tourist, like, that's the kind of thing you've got to focus on. There's no point in learning like the fundamentals if you're just gonna. If you're going to be going to a country in 2 weeks, because you're not going to speak to anyone, you're much more helpful to learn how to find your hotel room. If you want to read, and then there's like the thing with Greek and Latin, ancient Greek, is that all the sort of literature on it is like, it's like a lot of poetry and history and heavy sort of stuff, and so you can get really good at learning that kind of stuff. And you can't, but then you wouldn't be able to speak to a person in real life. If you met an ancient Greek person in real life, you're like, wait, how do I say nice weather we're having today? You don't use it. Just, it's not a thing you use. Like, kalos. What the hell's the word for weather? It's like, you can, you know what I mean? Because it's not really, you don't encounter it in ancient philosophy and stuff quite so often. I'm only learning German and Greek to read the books I own in those languages. I'd like to have a go at learning German at some point, because there's a number of people I like who I know who are German. It's quite common in sort of the factory game genre for Germans. There's a lot of Germans in that genre, so I'd like to learn it for that. There's a couple of people who are into like sewing and tailoring who are also German for some reason, which it doesn't make much sense to me, but it's just what it is. What else is there? Was something else in German. I forgot what it was. I don't really care about any of the books in German, to be honest. I don't really care too much about those, but yeah, but it'd be useful language to learn. And there's a couple of Italians, that would be cool, son. But and I'd like to learn a bit of that. But it's too much stuff to learn. I bet those would actually be a lot easier than learning ancient Greek and Latin. Not because they're more modern. That the language itself is different, but because just the resources, the resources and the kind of material. If I wanted to learn German, I think what I would do is I'd go and find like German nursery rhymes or something. I'd go and see what the hell a child is learning, I spent a lot of time doing that, and that it'd be so easy, It's sort of you'd learn all those basic words like how to say basic fruits and how basic grammar and stuff like that. It would be so easy because there's a current modern language, but with with ancient Greek and Latin, like there's none of that stuff. Some people have made that stuff, but it's not very good in my opinion. It's a bit amateurish. It's not actually designed for children. It's sort of designed for adults. It's kind of rubbish. And it's not the same. It's not the same. One of these days, I'd like to learn Japanese. Also German books are cheap. I want some of that. I guess it depends on what country you're in. I'm in England, and I don't see German books too often. I see them every now and then, but generally speaking, you go to a used bookstore, and the foreign languages book, like as in books that are in foreign languages, it's like a tiny shelf. It's a tiny shelf, and it's like sort of random stuff. Usually, it's like religious stuff. Maybe I'm not going to the right bookshops. I don't know. But I'd like to, one of these days, I'm always on the fence about this, actually. I'd like to learn, like, Japanese for obvious reasons. So I can watch anime. But I worry that if I do, I'll make anime less cool. Because, like, you see a lot of, like, the cool, like, attack names they have in, like, shonen anime. They sound really cool, you're like Kakon, Yo Kaku Yo no Jutsu or something, and it sounds like really cool. But then you translate that to English, and it's like great fireball attack, and it's like that's really lame. or there's another one. I think the one from Bleach is like Senbon Zakura or something, and it means like 1,000 flower petals, which is kind of cool, but it's not as cool as Senbon Zakura. I've got that one Girth book in English on my shelf. I haven't read it yet. One of these days. I mostly buy books online, so I don't know the complete works of Girth in German for like €10. I'm like, that is pretty crazy. I never buy books online. I think the only book I've ever bought online was the complete works of Plato, and I bought it because I had found a used copy of the complete works of Plato for really cheap in a used bookstore, and I'd been looking for it for ages. I got home and I found that actually it wasn't the complete works of Plato. It was a commentary on the complete works of Plato, and I was so annoyed. I'd gotten so excited that I was going to finally go and read some Plato. I'd been searching for him for ages, and I was so annoyed about it that I went and just bought it online to settle the matter. And the commentary book actually turned out to be a really good commentary book. Sometimes commentary books are dreadful, but it actually turned out to be a very good one. And so I ended up reading both anyway. It really got me. The front cover on the spine, the spine just says Plato on it. It doesn't say anything else. It doesn't list the author. It just says Plato. And it was a big book. It was a red book, which if you know anything about the complete works of Plato, you know it's a red book. It was a red book, and it was quite thick. And I go to the chapters page, and it's just the list of all the various dialogues of Plato. I was like, oh, okay, that's it. I didn't look twice. I didn't think twice. I just bought it, and turns out it was a commentary. But it was a good book. It was a good book. Let's see, Ekusin. Kai Apo. Kai Apoto. Despoto. 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 Apukurean. Apukurean. Sometimes you end up with a really good book of commentary, or it's just reheated garbage, a rehash of old ideas by an author that nobody shares anymore. I've mostly avoided those kinds of works because I think for for sort of commentaries on the Greeks and the Romans and stuff, those ones are generally they're really old. They're kind of rare to find. Whereas once you get to the 50s, the 1920s onwards, they've kind of started doing some actual proper scholarly work, and they've kind of broken away from what they were doing in the past, so that they tend to be pretty good. Totally modern commentaries are just a load of rubbish. I've sort of seen some of them. I'm like, wow, okay, these people are crazy. But you get stuff from like from like the 20s to the 70s and stuff. That's like really solid. They of course by the nature of being old, they have they've missed like new discoveries that have been made since. Like you get some old sort of books and stuff, and it's like they don't have they don't have the what's it called like they don't have the Epic of Gilgamesh, or or we don't know anything about the Egyptians, or they don't what's like the other one, there's like stuff it's like they don't have it, and that's just that. Frankly, that's more amusing than anything. It's sort of it's like the only thing they know about like the ancient Babylonians or something is from what's written in the Bible, and they sort of take it for fact. So it's kind of amusing. But generally speaking, compared to the kind of commentaries you see being made today, like in this decade, even the bad stuff of the old stuff, it's so much better than whatever the garbage they were in today. I've got a book on the Roman Empire by a guy called Edward Gibbon. It's like a long history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire, and I think it starts with the Empire, so I think it starts with like the first or second emperor, I'm not sure, and then it ends with the fall of Constantinople. And it's a really contentious book because a lot of people really don't like it because it's like kind of old, and it's like it's got like a bias. From what I've heard, I've read part of it myself, but I haven't read it thoroughly. But it's got really good prose. The prose is really good. It's sort of there used to be a saying in British politics where when you saw someone who was really good at speaking, like they could do really good speeches and they had kind of a rhythm to it, and that you would say they've read their Gibbon. Because they had a really good sort of very, very iconic prose, and people, you'd read that and you'd copy it. Other times, modern books simply copy a 19th century author, whom they only quote to say, this author says X, but he's wrong. Only send that's actually a very good point. This happens so much. If you read old books, especially if you read like old books on science and stuff, or like biology, medical stuff, and you think, oh yeah, everyone in like the Victorian era, they were just so dumb and stupid, they didn't know anything. No. They kind of had it all figured out. Like they were people were like theorizing like quantum physics and stuff like back in like the 1920s. They've been doing this stuff for a long time. Like we've been like capable of like measuring the speed of light and doing all the element stuff going back to like the 1800s. It's like we've been on top of this kind of stuff for a long time, and our knowledge of a lot of it hasn't really changed at all in any meaningful way. The only thing that's changed is we've they were 99% accurate, and now we're like 99.9% accurate. and then like you said, then they'll ignore everything that they've done, and they'll just say, oh, but he was wrong about this. And to a modern a student or something learning about this, he'll think, oh yeah, the guys in the past were stupid, and we're so much smarter today. No. We've done nothing today. The innovations we've made today in so many fields is. It's nothing. It's nothing. Like, sure, we've made computers and stuff, but like the groundwork was laid hundreds of years ago. Sometimes the guy from the 17th century got it right, and the guys after him just went into a totally wrong side quest and took nowhere. Now we're back to maybe you got it right. I mean, not even that. Like sometimes it's just like we've just figured it out. We just figured it out in like the 17th century. Well, okay, the 17th century is kind of a bit far back. That's when the innovation started, but it took a while to get going. But by the 1800s, like it was pretty solid. Like pretty much like everything you will learn in like a school science class, all your physics, your biology, your chemistry, pretty much all of that was figured out by like the 1800s. There's very little of it that was figured out after that. Some of it would be figured out in like the 1900s, but virtually none of it is like 21st century. None of it. It's like like the theoretical part was just figured out long, long ago. Well, this looks like one of those double words. We go ooh, ood, ood oligo, ood oligon. Ood oligon. It's like Whitehead's quote about all philosophy's footnotes to Plato. It's actually why I read Plato. Well, I hadn't read Bertrand Russell and Whitehead at that point, but I did kind of get the sort of the vibe that it's all Plato. It's just all Plato. Everything is just Plato. Every like pretty much like everyone else's philosophy is like you could read Plato and you've already kind of got it. Like it's just sort of like it's just a footnote to Plato. And so I went and I've read the complete works of Plato, and I think it was worth doing. And aside from some of the difficult ones like Parmenides, he's actually really easy to read. And I expect that later authors are going to actually be really quite difficult to read. But will still be easier to read having read Plato. Yeah, like Kant. I've heard that Kant is going to be very difficult, but I've also heard that it's going to be very important. So I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to read Kant. I'm going to read Francis Bacon before Kant, but I'm going to also read Aristotle before Francis Bacon. And I'm not sure yet if I'm going to bother with all the medieval philosophers and scholars and stuff. I've got Thomas Aquinas's. I'm not sure which Thomas Aquinas book I've actually got. I've got some collection of Thomas Aquinas, and it looks quite intimidating. I'm really not sure if I want to read any of that stuff. But it might be important. It might have significance on later thinkers. But I'm not really a Christian myself. I've read the Bible, and didn't really teach me much about Christianity as like in terms of like their practices and beliefs and customs and theologies and all that. It didn't really teach me anything. Tolmessin, which translates to Italian as Ossano and Il Coraggio di, which I don't read Italian. This is the trouble with this book here. I neither read ancient Greek nor Italian, and this book here is ancient Greek with translations in Italian. I've lost where I was again. Tolmessin. Tolmosin, rather. Not Messon. Mosin. Tolmosin. You should read the medieval thinkers. In fact, one finds Bacon, Descartes, and even Kantian critique already within medieval scholasticism. It's just that it's presented as a commentary on Aristotelian scholasticism. This is part of the reason why I am also reading Aristotle. I mean, part of it because it's Aristotle, but also part of it is why would I read these medieval thinkers without first reading Aristotle? Because everything about all their philosophers, it's all obsessed with Aristotle. And so if I read Aristotle and I feel I understand Aristotle, then I can read these people, and I can, by myself, without any need for commentary, I can judge for myself whether they're talking sense or not. It's no point reading some guy who's talking, about Aristotle, and then they confidently assert, oh yes, Aristotle believed this and this, and this is his philosophy, and that might not actually be true. But if I've read Aristotle myself, I can read what they're saying, and I can say, no, you don't understand Aristotle at all. What are you talking about? And that's a great power to have. that allows you to stand on your own 2 feet in all this sorts of stuff. Hote. Entois. Entois agrois. That's a very wonky A. Entois agrois ponubusin. I think it will get, once I'm done with Aristotle, I think it's going to really start, my reading is really going to start speeding up. Because I think it's worth reading. It's worth reading the entire Bible. It's worth reading the entirety of Plato and Aristotle. But after that, I can't really think of anything that is worth reading in such depth. Those are kind of the heavy hitters. You know, maybe if you're really interested in Christianity, you should read maybe the complete works of Thomas Aquinas, and maybe if you're really interested in like a particular branch of philosophy, maybe you should read the entirety of Kant or Hegel or something like that. But I don't think I'm going to go down those routes. You know, I think I'm going to, you know, sort of stick with my classical Greeks and stuff. And everything else is just going to be a sort of modern curiosity. Like, yes, this guy here, I read his major works, and I get it. If you're interested in a refresher, even just a quick review of the medievals, try reading Philosophy in the Middle Ages by Etienne Gilson. The book is very good. I'll take a screenshot of that, and if I get there, I'll have to have a look. I'd have to find it first. I have to go find a PDF of it, which I probably can do, but what have I got? What have I got in medieval? I've got a bunch of sort of like some of the thinkers. You know, I've got who have I got? Who have I got? I've got some book which has some works on Aquinas. Look, hold on, you can't say just read the Summa. Look, the Summa on its own is crazy, you know, and he has like a half. He's got Summa Theologica and Summa Contra Gentiles. I think he has some other books, but you know, like to read the complete works of Aquinas is something you would probably do if you're really into that sort of branch of Christianity. And that's sort of, you're really into your theology and stuff. Because he is a heavy hitter. But I don't think I will. In fact, I'm not even sure I'll read the full. One of them I have got. I've got a selected. I've also got a selected works of Aquinas, which is it's a much smaller book. It's like 600 pages long, and it's just like sort of selections of it. I may read that. That may fill me in on Aquinas for me. There's also, you know, like Augustine. He does like the City of God and Confessions, I think. Not sure the significance of him. I think he's quite early on. There's another guy I forget the name of. Dude, some of it is like semen made from food and stored in the brain. An interesting analogy. Agrois Ponusen. Dia Tauto. Dia Tauto. The if I can draw my E's right. Dia Tauto di Oiduloi. Di Oi. Duloi. Ton Desporten. Desporten. Filusen. Loosen. Dunaton. Dunaton. Ga SD. Ga SD. Toyuton. So that's a new one. Which means Tale. I think that means finish, end. No, it could be. I shouldn't make guesses with Italian, because Italian is a nonsense language. It never makes any sense in these translations. Toyuton. Toyuton Desporten. Desportum Phileum. A. Ga. Ga. Tis. Tis ton. Or tone. Tone nulon. Dulon. Page specific. Dulon Camne. Good thing being a Latin language speaker, Spanish, is that reading other Latin languages is easy. It's somewhat easy. It's somewhat easy. Like, you sort of, a lot of words like are the same. But every now and then, you do get caught off by a word that is like totally different, or it's like similar to one word, but it means like totally different. So it's sort of like French is just a load of nonsense. I'm English myself, which is it's just barely not a Latin language, but it probably should be a Latin language, but it really doesn't. It's not too helpful with French. Like we got like and do kind of sounds like one and two, but they're different enough that not really. One moment, I need to go refresh my water bottles there and see. I've had a tough time with listening. I've learned that German is just funky English. Let's see. I've seen some German. I've seen some words that are the same, but the pronunciation is what really throws it off for me. Makes it difficult. Alright, I was gonna do something. Oh yeah, I was gonna eat some of these biscuits. It is. It is. I think it's a permanent feature now. I had it initially for the Satanic Demon Goth Girl summoning stream, i.e. the Latin stream, and then I forgot to take it off. Yeah, more Maelstrom chemical stuff. How do those lyrics go? They are when I was a young boy, my father took me into the city. uh, there's a bunch of like people who've they've like translated like modern pop songs into like ancient Latin, but they're never any good. They're never any good because I think the big thing they miss that they don't get right is they're so focused on like the accuracy of the pronunciation. You know, so they got to make sure their long vowels are right and stuff, and that they don't actually. Yeah, I've seen that, but they don't actually. And then like they get like all some sort of accent that kind of sounds ancient, Bronze Agey. But what they really miss, in my opinion, is that they're making a song, and when you sing a song like a modern song, you really deviate from the way words are pronounced, and they miss that totally. And so it's sort of like it's like the song is nothing but a curiosity, but it's not actually an interesting. It doesn't actually sound very good. You know, I don't actually want to listen to it. Whereas if you look at like you look at covers of these songs in other like common languages like French and Spanish and stuff, just just a regular guy wants to translate the song, they're like totally fine. But the Latin guys, they're too academic. They're too academic. I think actually, there's a lot. I think a lot of them are actually done by students. I think it's become like a trendy thing in like when people are learning Latin in school, where they have to, as like part of their task, they have to translate a book. They have to translate a song to Latin and then sing it. And so you see a lot of people do that. I think that's like a thing. So they're inherently not very good at either Latin or singing. Okay. Come Kai. So yeah, I'm learning one part that's really tricky with this is all the little accent marks on the top of some of the letters, and I'm sort of getting it. I'm sort of I'm getting that Kai here has I think a grave accent at the end of it, And Gar has an acute accent, I think, on the A. Yeah, it does. I'm sort of gradually getting a grip of that, and that's. I think if I weren't handwriting this out, I would not pick up on that at all, and I would just they would just I would totally miss it. I'd totally miss it. Kai Kafize. Kai Kafize Oligon. Polygon Chronon. Chronon ho Desportes. I do frequently write my D's the wrong way around, and my deltas. I write them the wrong way around all the time. Desportes. Mala Kalapine. That's also a new word. But I suspect it's a form of Kalepos. Oh, it is, yes. Yes. Kalapine. Kalepos estin Agonacte, and we haven't yet figured out what Agonacte means. Or we have, actually. I think we had it a while ago. I mean, let me have a look. Irritated. Which tells us nothing. Kalapine. Altica. Now that's a new word. Altica. DAs ton Oranon. Oranon means I think it means sky. And I believe that drawing there, which is probably off screen, slightly off screen. I think it means the sky. Where we get the god Uranus from. Ton Oranon. Ton Oranon Blepe. Looks to the sky. Kai and the Kai here is different from the other Kai. The other Kai had a grave accent. This Kai has an acute accent. I haven't figured out that difference yet. It says Ozos Morzeo Despoto. Morzeo Despota facing. Facing TNO okay. Okay, Poean. Poean Utus. Utos. Or Dulos. Semicolon. Epeta. Epeta. Pros. Prostondulon. Trachy. Proston. Tondulon. Dulon. Trachy. Trekkie, rather. Trekkie, not Tracky. Trekkie. Crap, I have to rewrite that word, I messed that up. Tundulon. Trekkie. Trekkie, Kai. Kaiauton. Auton Tukte. I've also got a bad habit of accidentally writing Greek letters as Latin letters. So I'll draw like instead of drawing an alpha, I'll draw an A. Instead of drawing a tau, I'll draw a T. For those letters, it's not a problem, but it does become a problem when I accidentally draw a pi as P, which in the Greek alphabet is actually an R. It's a rho, and then now I've written the completely wrong letter, and I've done that a couple times. And it's difficult to do. Or I'll put a dot above my I, my iota, and when there's not actually supposed to be anything above it, and now I've written an accent where there is no accent. Kai and Oikia. Oikia I aganacte. Aganacte. Is that a... Indeed, that's not Hor Despotter, it's O Despotter. Interesting. O Despotter. O Despotter. Me Tupte. Mutupte Hemas. Tupte Hemas. Al Uden. Arudun. Hetun. Hetun Odespotter. That's Odespotter again. Sportes. Running it out really helps you see those subtle differences. Odespotes. Altus. Altus Calaze. DRT T-Day De Uto Utokalepos. That's K. It's Kai. Whatever. Kalepos. Estin. Estin or Odespotes. Engelman. Agno. Agno. My brain's getting fried now. I'm running N's for N's instead of V's. Megalos. Kai. Kai Escudos. Escudos Boas. Booze. Okay. Okay, for Claros. Claros. Omegas. Austin. Aston Mala. Alakalos. Men. Agros. Agros Polon Ceton. Polon Ceton. Odicitos. Holosperma. Araki. Odidasportes. Swattes. Kaede. Kyrie. Alda A. Aganacte. Kai Mala. Kai Mala Kalepos. This SD. SD Pros. Twos. Dulos. I'll be honest. I'm getting really sick of these ancient Greek stories about the masters and the slaves. Like, I'm not. Oh my god, this is loud. I'm getting deafened. Okay, yeah, be a bit more quiet. The that's as far as we'll get. The what's it called? So many of these sort of Latin like modern books, but they're written to teach you like ancient Latin or Greek or something, and they're written with like a story of like an ancient Greek or Latin family, and they spend, in my opinion, they spend way too much time obsessing over their relations with their household slaves. It's like, I get it, they had slaves. You don't have to dedicate 4 chapters to them whipping their slaves. It's a bit much. It's a bit much. The you know, and this one here, you know, with the Latin one, the Lingua Latina one, you know, they kind of have the story of a runaway slave, but it's sort of like the slaves ran away. He's not a slave anymore. He's a free man, so long as no one knows, so long as no one captures him. But honestly, there's probably going to be a runaway slave story in this. I can just see it happening. But my god, they're just, yes, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's like these the slave here, he makes like a perfectly good argument. This was in like the previous chapter. He makes like a perfectly good argument. He's like, why are you telling me to work so hard? You think I care about your field? You think I care about your agriculture here? It's like, look, you're the one who gets all the money for this. I just have to work. I get nothing out of it. You've got this nice house to go and live in. Of course you like the field. I don't like the field. You just tell me what to do. It's like, yeah, guy's completely right. It's like, why the hell should he care about this field? He's going to get nothing out of it. Whether he does the work hard or not, it makes no difference to his life. He's a slave. You know, maybe he'll get whipped a few more times, but the master's such an asshole. He's just gonna whip him anyway. He might as well just be a useless slave. Why show motivation for any of this? But it's exhausting. Like, come on, I want to give me something more interesting to read. Where are the ancient Greek philosophers? You know, where they, oh yes, and then the ancient Greek philosopher said to his other philosopher, ah yes, but what if the sun was made out of water and everything was made out of water? In fact, it's like, no, you're an idiot. How could you think so? Obviously, everything is made out of fire, including the ocean. The ocean is made out of fire. Isn't this obvious? Yeah, you know, that would be way more interesting to read. You know, I'd read that. That'd be way more interesting than a story about some runaway slaves or something. But anyway, how much did I write? How much did I write? Because how much I wrote depends on how much I can sort of spend time translating, and I don't always do it on stream. I sometimes just do that. I did half a page here, 1 page here, and about 1 page here. I did 2.5 pages. That's actually pretty good. That'll last me like a few days. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, we're getting through it. We're still not near the end of the chapter. This is really quite a long chapter. We're near the halfway point of the chapter. In fact, it's a really long chapter, so that's kind of brutal. But good fun. I'll end here and continue with my day. Thanks for joining me. I still don't have